Good morning, gang. Another edition of Wake Up Nation. But this time, subbing out your boy 98 for my guy, Ont6 Soldier. How are you this morning, my friend? Good morning.
I'm pretty good, brother. A little chilly out here, but good to be alive, man. Another day to see Miami Kings football today. You know what I mean? Play Georgia Tech, so that's what I'll be doing right after this.
Have they played yet, or are they playing now?
Oh, they're playing at 9 o'clock in about an hour and a half. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see Cam Ward play today. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited for this life, man. Make me go back in time to my childhood, looking at some of these players and names and shit, bring back fond memories.
Hell yeah, I thought it'd be a bit of fun. I was doing it yesterday morning. Was it the other morning? I don't know. I'm losing track of time, but I did it the other day with Nutty Raider Nate, and we're going to finish ours next week. But I thought, for a bit of fun, I'd bring you on up with me during the bye week, and we'll get it popping now. So, what say you, my friend? You ready to roll?
I'm ready to go, brother. Let's get this started.
And shout out to the people in the chat. I see Robert, my guy. Salute to you. Nice to see you live in the feed, Robert. My friend. I hope all is well. All right, let me just get all the layouts sorted. So, one moment, please. Did you catch the Easter egg in the intro?
I did. I believe in Tom Henry. Oh, man.
Indeed. All right, there we go. So the way it's going to work is that we're going to do a post-Millennium team. So since the year 2000 till the now, we're going to do every position, a starter, the backup, and an honorable mention. So 3 players at each position. If it's like, say, a wide receiver 1 and 2, then that would make 6. And same with defensive end, defensive tackle. You get the idea. So without further ado, you ready to roll or what?
I am ready to go. Let's get this started.
All right, let's get it started in here. All right. If I can bring up the window because it's not showing up for some reason. Just give me a moment, man.
Why is it no problem, man.
Up? All right. Sorry. One second.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
I got to bring it up in another window to edit. And all right. We're here.
Okay.
All right. So, quarterback. Who would be your starter, honorable mention, and backup? Ont6.
All right. My honorable mention is a quarterback that used to wear the number 8 for us. We traded this guy from the Washington Redskins. Came in and almost led us to the playoffs. And he didn't get hurt, brother. And it really breaks my heart, man, because this guy really had it all, man. Really all. And it's fucked up that we did him how we did him. But my honorable mention is the only, Jason Campbell.
Such a shame and a what if with Jason Campbell if he never got hurt, because we were rolling the start of the 2011 season up until the point where he got hurt. And he never got another start again, I believe. I think that was it. Like, he would bounce around as a backup wherever he went afterwards. But very unfortunate. Like, it could have been a real story, being that, like, Jason Campbell had floundered with Washington, didn't live up to expectation. And at first he was battling with Bruce Gradkowski 2010. But 2011, he started to really put it together up until he got hurt. So very unfortunate, but good enough to earn a spot there with his play in that 2011 campaign. But who would be your next man up, your backup?
My backup, the one, the only, second-round pick out of Fresno State. The one, the only, DC, Derek Carr. That's my backup quarterback.
Gotcha. Derek Carr. A very polarizing figure even to this day. But I think, look, he's the next best guy after who you're going to name in a moment as the best quarterback since the turn of the millennium. And he is none other than who? Ont6?
The one, the only quarterback for the Purdue Boilermakers, Aiden O'Connell. Because according to Dustin, he's the best quarterback we had since Derek Carr. And the only reason he sucks is because we have no offensive line and he can't get the ball down the field. So AOC, I'm just joking, guys. Is for real. The only one here is my boy, Rich Gannon, 2003 league MVP. That's the only quarterback that needs to be said. That's the only one.
Right. There's only one name there. Definitely the worthy name for your starting quarterback and the best quarterback since the turn of the millennium, and still one of the all-time Raider greats at the position. Yeah, so that would be your three. Now this is where things get interesting. It got real interesting with me and Nate the other night. And Nate's here, speaking of which, is in the chat. So good to see you, Nate. I'm doing one with Ont6, and we will get back to finishing ours next week with the defense. So yeah, salute to you, my friend. Running back. So this is where things got interesting with me and Nate. So yeah.
This was really hard for me because we had a lot of great backs. But my honorable mention is my boy, number 25, Charlie Garner. Some people need to put some respect on my boy Charlie Garner's name. The year that we went to the Super Bowl, my boy almost rushed for 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. You know how crazy that is? Just think about that. For a running back to almost get 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing, that is unbelievable, man. Tell me to put some more respect on my boy Charlie Garner, number 25, man. That fool used to juke his way and have some of the sickest spin moves, man. I still remember that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, in prime time, man. It just, my boy Charlie Garner still have his jersey to this day, man. So shout out to my boy Charlie Garner.
Hell yeah. And who would be your backup?
This one really broke my heart because I could have put number 1 and number 2 or flip-flop them. But my number 2 is going to have to be Run DMC, Darren McFadden and shit. This guy coming out of college was one of the most explosive running backs I've ever seen. And I've seen some great ones in Adrian Peterson, Reggie Bush, all the great ones coming out. But him and that Wildcat offense out there, when he came into the league, Lordy Lord, if it wasn't for his stupid turf toe, I think he would have been probably one of the top 3 Raiders all-time leading rushers ever if it wasn't for that stupid turf toe. But it just breaks my heart what another what if could have been with Darren McFadden and stuff. But yeah, I still got love for Run DMC.
Me too. I'm still rocking his jersey. And just something like, because a lot of people tend to sour on Darren McFadden, being that like quite most of his years after the turf toe, he wasn't quite the guy he once was. But during that peak period for Darren McFadden, he was averaging at least 5 yards a pop for a good sustainable period between 2010 till he went down injured halfway through 2011. And Westside Media, I see in the building. And the only other running back that we've had on our roster that's done it for that sustainable amount of time is none other than Bo Jackson. You know what I mean? Like 4 point whatever yards is up there with the best in the league, but going over 5 yards per carry for a season and a half, that is all-time elite. That's how great he was. It's just a shame we didn't get more than what we did, being that it was a season and about 3 quarters that he was at that all-time great. But yeah, that's the only reason, I guess, who would be the next name would get the start over him, because he was able to be at an elite level for a more sustainable amount of time. And that would be none other than who? Zamir White?
No, Samir, Amir, and Cecile for their amazing season when they ran for 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns, guys. Man, that was more of the most incredible season that I can't even remember it or when it happened. But in all seriousness, my starting running back is going to be the one and only Josh Jacobs, man. It just has been incredible to see how since he came into the league to when he left us the Raider, that it still breaks my heart, and we should have never let him go. He should have been one of the few players that should have retired a Raider. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, once a Raider, always a Raider, and Josh Jacobs is my starting running back.
You know, I hate to look at what Raider players are doing post when they played for us, like once a Raider, always a Raider. But since he's not a Raider anymore, I focus on what we have. But just yesterday I went to have a look and see how he's doing, and dude's balling out with Green Bay. I think he's averaging at least 4.5 yards a pop. Like, oh, God.
Yeah.
And there were cats that really thought this running back by committee room was going to be just as good, if not better, than Josh James. Yeah, okay. Right, whatever. But anyways, that's your 3 for running back. We will move to fullback.
This one's a little hard for me as well because there's a lot of great fullbacks that we had. You know what I mean?
We have had a good legacy of fullbacks, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Recent times.
But my honorable mention right here is the one and only John Ritchie, part of that Super Bowl team, man. He was one of the best fullbacks, just blocking goal line, all around great fullback, man. And then my backup is gonna be Zach Crockett, because them two, when we had them both at fullback, lordy lord, they had mercy on the league, man. Especially in the goal line, the running, blocking for our running backs, man, and even receiving out the backfield, man. Those two were a great tandem to have back there.
So Zach Crockett would be your backup, and John Ritchie would be your honorable mention. And who would be the guy who would be just that much, or that little bit better than those guys to take the starting job?
I mean, this guy used to line them up all around the field, wide receiver, fullback, running back. I'm talking about the one and only Zamir White. That's not a running back. He's actually a fullback. So I'm going to put him at fullback right here, because the great Dustin said that he used to play running back, and he knows what a running back look like. And Zamir White's not a running back. He's a fullback. But in all seriousness, guys, we're going to put Marcel Reese up here. You know, the great versatile Marcel Reese, man. It was just incredible, the stuff he did at fullback, lining up a receiver, and even running the ball for us sometimes. I miss Marcel Reese, and I don't think there's ever going to be another Marcel Reese ever again. So he was a one of a kind, and we're lucky to got to experience him.
Definitely a guy who transitioned to fullback when he came to the Raiders, because he wasn't initially. I think he was, what was he, a wide receiver or a linebacker? He was something else. But he transitioned to fullback, and he would turn out to be one of the best fullbacks we've ever had. Definitely the best in the last month, since the post turn of the millennium. A 4-time Pro Bowler. I think he was a 1-time All-Pro, but half of those years he made the Pro Bowl was playing during those dark days. 2012, 2013. We were a pretty bad team. So for him to be able to get himself those accolades says a lot about Reese. I have very fond memories of him, and I still have his jersey. So very well deserving to take out that starting spot at fullback. But anyways, wide receiver, who would be your first? Well, do you want to? How about we go starters, and then we'll go work our way down with wide receiver.
All right. So okay, I got him like that. Okay, my number one receiver, I'm gonna put Mr. Raider himself, touchdown Timmy Brown, is my number one receiver.
Touchdown Timmy Brown.
I don't know how many people are always saying he was really a number one receiver. He's not a real Raider, all kinds of stuff, but he was truly a wide receiver number one. And he never played with no great quarterbacks until Rich Gannon got there. So you just think about how better his stats would have been if he actually played with a good quarterback during his whole career. It just amazes me. And my number two wide receiver will be the one, the only, Mr. Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver in NFL history. Just what he was able to do at his age, to come in and just compliment Timmy Brown and help us propel us to the Super Bowl, was one of the greatest teams and duos I have ever seen, next to Crabtree and Amari Cooper. Man, but them two and Gannon, but just magic on the field.
Before my time, but I definitely know of their greatness. So yeah, definitely well deserving. But who would be your next man up at wide receiver?
I know a lot of people are probably gonna get mad, but he did play for us, and this is gonna be Devontae Adams. At the end of the day, once a Raider, always a Raider. I hate that what happened, but he's still playing on this team, and he's still gonna be on my team for all-time Millennium. And the number 4 receiver for me at this point is gonna be Mr. Cooper, Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? His time was here. I wish he would have stayed as well, but at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And Amari Cooper, I was making a point of it when me and Nate were doing the show. Like, yes, there were many a times when he would be inconsistent. he would disappear for stretches and be a non-factor. But when Amari Cooper was on, when he would go through stretches where he was at his best, he would be he was playing like he was the best wide receiver in the game and producing like it and making out of this world catches and plays, much like Devontae Adams. It's just a shame, and it's still something that I believe still lingers since he was a Raider. Like he had those problems when he was with the Cowboys. He still has those problems with the Browns where it's just you're going to get one side of the coin or the other. Like he'll either be the best wide receiver in the game or a complete non-factor or make some mistakes or whatever. But I think good enough to be in that range that you put him. So yeah, shout out to Amari. Would be your next man up.
I mean, for this point, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Why the fuck he's on here?" But he's gonna be my kick returner, and I need him on this team, and that's gonna be Jacoby Ford. You know what I mean?
There is a
I know,
slot there for kick returner.
but I'm
Like, you
still
don't have
gonna
to
put him
put him
as
there.
okay. So I'm gonna leave him there. I think anybody else, I'm gonna put Michael Crabtree as well up on this list. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't even know he was there for a couple of years, but he was real impressive when he was here still as well.
That he was very. Whereas he wasn't as finesse as Amari Cooper during that time, and that's no shade on Crabtree. He still had finesse about him. He was more consistent. Like he was consistently solid. Never stellar. Like so there was times when he was stellar too, but he wasn't like Amari Cooper at his stellar best, if that makes sense. But he was more consistent than Cooper. But anyways, your last man up on the wide receiver.
I mean, at the end of the point, I mean, when we have these three, I mean these five, I think I'm good at wide receiver. But I mean, that was my list. I mean, I don't
That's
know
all
who
right.
else you want.
We can leave it at 5. That's fine.
Yeah, that was my list. To be honest with you, I don't have anybody else. Those are the lists I have.
Gotcha. And salute to you, Robert Pena, sharing out the links. Appreciate you, brother. Tight ends. This is another legacy position, if you will, that we've been blessed to have. Well, since I've been a Raider fan, like for the most part, whereas most areas of our team would be an area of weakness, tight end seems to always, for the most part, be an area of strength. But I'll let you shoot, since your knowledge on the tight end position it would be stretched longer than mine on 6. So go ahead.
Oh man,
It would be
this is a hard one for me, especially just my time as a Raider fan. Just fuck, man. But I'm gonna have three players on the team, and then I'm gonna have honorable mention. And the honorable mention, he's just a rookie. He's on this current team, but he's showing me shit that I have not seen that tight end do ever. And that's him running reverses, running out the backfield, lining up our receiver and shit. It's just crazy. And that's my honorable mention is Brock Bowers. Maybe after this year, in a year or two, he can probably be number one and shit, or even make the team. But for now,
yeah.
just because he's a rookie, I'm just gonna give him as an honorable mention. You know what I mean? But
I got you there. Like Brock Bowers to me has a higher trajectory and should turn out to be better than all these guys. And like it's too early to anoint anyone, but like for a guy to be producing as well as he is, to leading the league in every statistic with the tight end position, bar touchdowns, you know what I'm saying, right from the rookie season. And the fact that he's not a head case. So the only thing that will derail his career would be injury. But we will see. But it's looking good so far. Anyways, go ahead. Who would be your backup?
I mean, my backup, oh, man, this is really hard and shit because there's two players I wanted to put right here.
Okay.
But because one played longer with the team, I made him over that. But before I say that player's name, I just want to shout out one of my favorite players growing up, and that is our tight end, Doug Jolly. You know what I mean? He great tight end. He was part of the Super Bowl team. One of the only players growing up that never played with gloves out there, barehanded blocking the defensive lineman out there catching it. One of my favorite players. Still have his jersey in my collection to this day. But my backup is going to be the one, the only Zach Miller from Arizona State. If you know,
yes.
You know what he meant to this team, bro. God damn, he was one of the few offensive weapons we have forever, and it was just amazing. Just his ability to run. He was one of the most crisp route runners I remember had at the tight end position. So that's going to be my backup, and that's our boy Zach Miller.
He's not quite finesse or as fast and as athletic as who you will name next, but he was solid all around. He had a very good, solid game when it comes to the catching, route running. He had good size, as well as like he could block. A good player, and probably would have produced more had we had better quarterback play in his early days as a Raider. But yeah, Zach Miller definitely deserves to be there. And Dog Jolly, I actually got him mixed up when I was doing my live with Nate. Like I got him confused with the guy we took in '96. Was it Ricky Dudley?
Yeah, Ricky Dudley.
Yeah, Dudley. Yeah, he was the guy I saw getting drafted. I got him confused with Doug Jolly. So, that's yeah, like he's a guy I haven't seen play yet, but it's always good to learn about these players that are before my time. But Zach Miller, we'll keep there. And who would be your starter?
My starter would be the one, the only Darren Waller. You know what I mean? It just amazes me the ability that Mr. Waller had, and he would have been one of the all-time greats if he would have just dealt with his stuff off the field and what he's dealing with mentally, and hopefully he gets the help he needs because he's a good person. You know what I mean? I wish him nothing but the best.
For sure. I mean, post-Raider career, his motivation levels kind of just went out the window, as well as, unfortunately, his marriage with Kelsey Plum dissolved. But he seems to be getting himself right again. Like, I don't know if you've been keeping up with his social media. He's starting to get involved. Like, yeah, he was doing his music, but also he's starting to get involved with some, like, Raiders kind of, like, social clubs, like when it comes to, I think, mental health or something like that. Just trying to get involved with the community, and I can respect that. Wallace seems to be most proud of his Raider career rather than being anywhere else. So Waller definitely a guy I appreciate. And West Bay Red Niner Talk, appreciate the comment. I believe the Raiders are a good QB away from overthrowing the Chiefs in the division. I don't know, man. That's wishful thinking. We've got a lot of other holes in our team to fill, but salute to you. I appreciate the comment. And this guy here, I've never seen you before. Why is DC up there? Well, give us your thoughts. Like, let me know who you would have as the backup and the honorable mention behind Rich Gannon. But anyways, appreciate the comment. And I see my boy Sal. Good morning to you. Appreciate it. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Slot receiver.
Whew, man, this was another hard one for me, brother, because we had three great, amazing candidates, that I've seen personally play over the years, man. And it's hard for me to rank these guys because they're all special in their unique ways and during their time as Raiders, and it's just hard. But this one really breaks my heart as an honorable mention. But in my opinion, my honorable mention is going to be my boy Jerry Porter, part of that Super Bowl team. Was a slot receiver behind Tim Brown and Jerry Rice. The two, that he was a great slot receiver. Was a deep threat. Actually led us in their touchdowns that year and shit. And that's actually Ozzy's favorite player from that year. So that's pretty interesting. Right. So that's my honorable mention. But number two, the one, the only, my boy from Clemson, Hunter Renfrow. That's my fucking backup. This is a guy. Yeah. We all third and Renfrow. That's all you need to know. Third and Renfrow. That's all need to be said. It breaks my heart that he's still a free agent and we can't bring him back. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I always wish him the best going forward.
And who would be your starter?
Mr. The one, the only, I win and catch touchdowns and win in overtime himself. Seth Roberts. Man, that's 2016. My ball was on fire. It's just incredible the catches and the game winners he had, man. He was one of the best slot receivers we had. And it's pretty hard, in my opinion, to beat out Jerry Porter and Hunter Renfrow as slot receivers and Raiders. Just, But him and his ability was something else.
And just this comment here, we will have Jacoby Ford in this team, but you're going to have to stay tuned for that. But I appreciate the comment. Me and Nate had Hunter Renfrow pipping out Seth Roberts. But hey, if that's your answer, I can live with that. Like, Seth Roberts, I have very fond memories of being clutch man Roberts back in 2016, especially that victory against the Buccaneers, which was one of my favorite and more memorable Raider games that I was able to watch live. But anyways, we'll keep it moving. We'll move to the offensive line. So here's a position we've usually been blessed with as well in recent history. But I'll let you shoot. Who would be? Do you want to start with honorable mention or start?
I'm just gonna be honest. I just got two players at this. I just got my backup and my starter. And my backup is going to be our starting left tackle for the 2002 Super Bowl team, and that is Barry Sims. He was one of the great cornerstones of that offensive line. You know what I mean? And it just really
is it
sucks.
1M or 2Ms?
1M.
Okay, got you. Sorry, go ahead. Shoot.
You know what I mean? And he was a real cornerstone, just protecting Rich Gannon's blind side. And it just really, he was one of the greats. And I wish he, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. He was one of the greats, and I really like him. And I know some people are going to have other players here and shit, but that was my backup. But the one and only one, the starter is the only position I think, I mean, it's hands down. No other question is Donald Penn. You know what I mean? Gotcha. That's my starting left tackle. You know what I mean? That was one of his season he had. It just, even that one sack, it just breaks my heart. We know that one sack he led what it was, but Donald Penn's my starting left tackle.
You're not going to give an honorable mention? I mean, you're missing. We had Colton Miller, Jared Valdir. They don't deserve an honorable mention.
Yeah, I wanted to say Valdir over Sims, but even my honorable mention would have been probably Valdir because nobody freaking knew who this kid was coming out. You know what I mean? From Hillsdale. I don't even know the hell that college is at. I would just remember who the hell is this kid. When we
he came from like a where the fuck is that college, much like what's his name, Dylan Lobby. But anyways, continue.
It was funny too when he got drafted. The film that they posted of him, it looks like it was some high school film of some guy in the bleachers and shit. And I'm like, how the fuck is this? But he came in, he was our starting left tackle, so that is my honorable mention. You know what I mean? And I could put Colton Miller too as well, but yeah, the honorable mention would definitely be Jared Valdir.
That's what's up. Well, Jared Valdir in his rookie season, a lot of people don't remember this, actually started at center, but he wasn't very good there. I remember it was a rough ride, which is fair enough, being that he was out of position, and we end up putting him back to tackle, where he did thrive until he would succumb to injuries and come back, and then he would go on and play the rest of his career elsewhere. My pick would have been, I would have just picked Colton Miller over Valdir, being that Valdir, I felt at his best, was more of an unmovable object than Colton Miller, but Colton Miller was more sustainable and more solid for a longer period of time.
Okay.
But that would be my answer. But anyway, this is your list, not mine.
No, you got a good point there, Afakasi.
Left guard. I
mean, oh man. I only put two players down because I only need these two players, and this is all I'm gonna put down as my backup. Mo Collins, he was part of that Super Bowl team next to Barry Sims. You know what I mean? The left side that protected Rich Gannon. So I'm gonna
Mo Collins was right guard.
No, he was left guard. He played left guard, Afakasi.
Okay.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. This was during the Super Bowl year, though.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. It's just when I was doing my own research on Mo Collins, like a lot of the websites were saying he was a left tackle that transitioned to right guard. So, I mean, I'll take your word for it. You saw him play, not me. Anyways.
Right. It's all good, because and then my starters, there's only two letters I need to say. KO.
Kalichi Osemele.
Yeah.
I mean, you are missing a player that's touted to be one of the greatest Raiders of all time.
I mean, I was drawing blank. If you want to go ahead and throw it out there.
Steve Wisniewski.
Well, Steve, yeah, you're right. You're right then. But I thought he didn't. I thought it was only from the 2000s and up, Afakasi.
Yeah, he was around from 2000 to 2002.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're my bad.
And good morning to Wild Turkey and Rafa.
Right.
Salute to you guys.
Yeah, I think I missed some people. I'm kind of mad at myself now, looking back at my list.
So, who would you still have? Mo Collins as your honorable mention and KO as your backup, and then
probably so.
Sorry, I know it's your list, but I might have to insist, and this is something I had to kind of
No,
educate myself on as well. Like Steve Wisniewski is all time great, so he has
no,
to
you're good out there. I
be
totally
in
forgot
there.
about him. No, I gotta remake my list. You know, I totally forgot about him. Yeah, just move
One other
everybody and
name,
start him.
one other name I'll give you that could be in play that you may have overlooked would be Richie Incognito. He was left guard.
Oh yeah, that too. Fuck, damn, there's a
So
couple pictures.
I wouldn't have Richie over Steve in assembly, but
Yeah.
would you have him over Collins?
Ooh, that's a good question. Ooh, you gotta put that spot. Probably so, actually, because he was a
Yeah.
really bad motherfucker, dog. You're not gonna lie.
I mean, he came late and he was only here with us for 2 seasons, but he was pretty friggin' stellar when he came over that 2020, 2021 period. So we're going to put Richie in there instead of Collins?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
Man, good thing you're here, Kazi, because there's definitely some players I missed, dog.
All good, man. All good. And shout out to other guys that were good at the position. Stefan Wisniewski before he translated to center. The nephew of Steve Wisniewski. And there's a few other guys we will put on the right, but we'll keep it moving. We'll go to another position that up until now, but that's changed with the draft pick of Jackson Powers Johnson. Center, who would you have as your honorable mention, backup, and then starter?
I mean, oh man, this is another hard position as well because I know there's a couple names that come off right as the bat, but for me, I'm gonna put an honorable mention for Jackson Powers Johnson. I know he's a rookie; he just started
already.
I
He's
like
only had one game. He's only had. I'll put him there, but he's only had one game as a center.
No, I'm just saying. There's another one as well, but I'm just saying, like, he has potential to be up here with like Brock Bowers in the future. You know what I mean?
I'm right there with you, but like, can we really have him here after one game at center?
I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying I'm gonna give him a shout out, but he's not my honorable mention.
I got you. All right.
I mean,
I'll give you some honorable mention names which you can choose from. There's Samson Satelli, Stefan Wisniewski, were 2 guys you could consider in that honorable mention name range. But you already know who's the 2 names that's going to be your starter backup. But what say you? Ont6.
You already said one of them. That was Wisniewski, the backup center. You know what I mean? We drafted him, the son of the left guard. You know what I mean? It was cool just drafting his son. You know what I mean? And him actually playing
his
for
nephew.
Is his nephew? I believe his nephew. I don't know. It's nephew, but him. That's my backup. Okay. You know what I mean? And then my starter is only one starter, and that's Ronnie Hudson. You know what I mean? At center. What else to be said? I mean, him. I wish we had this offensive line now. If it's
sorry, Ont6. You're probably forgetting a name, and the chat will probably highlight it for you. I agree with Hudson being the starter, but in your early days, Barrett Robbins, I heard he was before he went off to Cuckoo on the Super Bowl. He was pretty great.
I have him on here too, but since he just went, he's a great center. Just that it breaks my heart what happened to him and shit. And like I have him on here, and he was the second name I wrote down, but.
Would you have him as the backup? And Rodney Hudson for me would be the unanimous starter.
Yeah, I would have him as the backup and Rodney Hudson as the starter, dog. Because Baron Robin was a bad motherfucker too, dog. It just
so that's what I heard until he unfortunately went off the cuckoo. Yeah, but Rodney Hudson, I mean, this guy was literally the best center in the league for the majority of his Raider career, and definitely well deserving of that starting spot. And much like Steve Wisniewski going down as an all-time great as a left guard, Rodney Hudson, you could consider them as that equivalent. Maybe not quite as great. I don't know. Time will tell. But he was definitely an elite player at the center position for the longest time. Well deserving to get that spot. But here's an interesting one. Right guard. Would you have as your honorable mention?
I don't know, brother. This is a hard one for me. I was gonna ask you for help for honorable mentions on this one, bro. Because
all right, I'll give you some names. Well, your boy Mo Collins was supposed to listed as a right guard, but like Nate gave me a name. Who was it? Frank Middleton. Who
that
apparently
was my
it
back.
was the opposite. He was supposed to be like when I'm doing my research, they're saying he was left and Mo Collins was right. I don't know if Google is bugging, but you guys watch some play, so you guys would be more in the know if you can remember. A guy that went over Nate's head that I had to kind of educate him on, which surprises me, being that Nate's a big time offensive line nutty Nate. Is Cooper Carlisle. Remember Cooper Carlisle? He was our starting right guard from 2007 or 8 all the way up to 2012. He was there for exact. See, you guys don't even remember him, but he's so underappreciated. Like, this is a guy we brought in from Denver, and he started for us for a long stretch, like 2007 till 2012. He was never the most stellar of guys. And shout out to you, Raider Joe. I see you comment. But he was always there and be Mr. Consistent. Like, he to me was like, you could say the guard equivalent of Colton Miller. Maybe not quite as good, but like, you know what I mean? Or just solid. And he was there for a long period of time. So that's the guy I had as a mention in that right guard spot. And then starter, we had Gabe Jackson. So, what say you? Ont6.
I mean, I had as my backup, I had Frank Middleton, and then I had as my starter the one and only Gabe Jackson.
Yeah. So Cooper Carlisle doesn't even get a shout out?
No, he gets a shout out. I just remember him when you brought him up. It's just funny because as soon as you said his name, I remember
everybody's forgotten Cooper Carlisle. Put some respect on Cooper Carlisle's name.
I will now. He's the honorable mention now. I totally forgot about him, dog. It's just crazy.
Am I my own lonely little? Lonely little bubble in being that I respect and appreciate Cooper Carlisle.
No, you know what we should have done? We should have done one together. I think would have been a lot better.
Well, I'm just advising you, and you make the decisions. All right.
No, but I just thought it was funny. Like, damn.
But Cooper Carlisle, put some respect on his name for those who don't know. If you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. Oh man.
Right tackle. Look, it's there's only one name, and then it's everyone else, right?
My boy Lincoln Kennedy, and then everybody else. You can do the backup and the honorable mention on this team because that's the only player that came to mind.
All right. Well, I'll help you out. Well, Lincoln Kennedy, stellar. You know what I mean? Before my time, but I know of his greatness. But like after him, it's a huge drop off. It's him and then everybody else. The next best, in my personal opinion, based on the field play, when we can get him on the field, that was half the problem. Was there would be other issues there that would keep him off the field. Some of it not his own, was out of his control. I will give him that. But when he was on the field, Trent Brown for me was good enough to take that right tackle spot as a backup, being that like everybody else is pretty mediocre. I know Austin Howard's Benter's guy, but I just remember when we swung him over to right tackle, like, yeah, he was all right for a minute, but like he was only really there half of one season. Menelik Watson, another guy we drafted, tried, didn't work out. Leatherwood, well, we all know what happened there.
That's what I'm saying.
It was a turnstile of guys that just could never solidify it for the long run. And it still is until this season where we've had DJ Glaze and Thea Mumford kind of battling it up. So it's good to see two young cats in there that could solidify the role. Something's been a problem since the days of Lincoln Kennedy. However, the other name that I've come to appreciate being like, yes, he gets a rough ride. Yes, he was a penalty machine, but his best ability was his availability. This guy was always available and played well enough in spots. And we even used him as a wide receiver at times. Like in goal line situations, kind of like Donald Penn. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm trying to. I don't.
Let me emphasize he was a penalty machine.
Fuck, I should remember this. I'm going to be mad at myself. Go ahead.
2009, 2010, 2011. He actually took over as our starting left tackle in a pinch back in 2013 when we lost Valdir at the very start of the season and we lost Menelik Watson and we had nobody else. And on a hope and a prayer, he played left tackle. And he actually did decently with all things considered. That was none other than it begins with a K. Begins with a K.
Ah, I have no idea. Go ahead, because
Last name B. Come on, dog. Khalif Barnes.
Khalif. Ah, fuck these. God damn it. Oh man, I'm getting it's stopping me
Especially in
today.
these later years with our struggles at right tackle, I've
Yeah.
come to appreciate Khalif Barnes, and he's by no means all time great, but for this list alone and the deficiencies at right tackle up until this point, I would have him there as a honorable mention. But what say you, Trent Brown, and then Khalif Barnes in a
Yeah.
pretty woeful after Lincoln Kennedy list, to say the least.
Yeah. They said Lincoln Kennedy's like one in their option like Z and Y.
Right. So, anyways, that's our offense for the now. I will go to the defense.
Hold on now, Kazi. To put the offense up one more time, I want to ask you a question now.
All right, I got you.
What would you change from my list?
Not much, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
when I look at running back, like Darren McFadden in that period of time when he was great, I would just have him over Jacobs, even though Jacobs had a record-breaking season. Like I said, to have a stretch of 5 point whatever yards per carry for a year and a half, that is all-time elite. And salute to you, Raider Critique. I see you. Good morning to you.
What's up, Critique?
So you could argue that, but Jacobs had a more sustainable run of being at that great level. So there's no real wrong answer there.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with just about all the names. I mean,
all right, sounds good.
I mean, left tackle. You had Barrett Sims. I mean, I don't. He was before my time, but I'll take your word for it. But I had Colton Miller in there.
Yeah.
But if you say Sims is good enough, then I'll take your word for it. And yeah, like my guy Cooper Carlisle getting no respect from nobody.
I
Not
totally
even from 98.
That's crazy. I totally forgot about it. But it's good doing these. You just remember these players' names. You're like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember him.
But yeah, no, good list. All right, well, we'll move on to the defense.
All right.
It would be defensive end A.
All right, my defensive one A. I only got my starter and my backup because this is all I need and shit. You know what I mean? This is all I need. My backup, a two-time NFL sack leader. And when you have a two-time NFL sack leader as your backup, just makes you think who could be the starter, right? And that's my backup. I'm gonna have the one, the only Derek Burgess. Put some respect on my boy Derek Burgess. Shout out to my boy
So he would
Millennium.
be your backup?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not your starter. So
no.
Who would be your starter?
That would be my boy Khalil Mack. I'm putting my boy Khalil Mack there.
Can't be anyone else.
Who else are you gonna put there? He was an all-pro at his rookie year at two positions, and some people still want to say Chandler Jones is better than him.
Oh God, don't even get me started with that take. Don't even get me started. But Khalil Mack, an all-time Raider great, an all-pro at two positions, a defensive MVP, something we haven't had in the last 30 years. Someone who literally won the award. Like Max Crosby has been in the contention, but he never won it. Khalil Mack actually was named defensive MVP. And the only other MVP that we've had on our roster since the turn of the millennium, the other one being the offensive MVP, Rich Gannon. But yes, Khalil Mack definitely worthy of being that starter, the number one starter as a defensive end. And for me, the greatest defensive player we've had on our roster since the turn of the millennium, outside of someone else we will talk about later. But who would be your other starter with the great Khalil Mack?
That would be the starter. Would be my boy Mad Max.
Yeah, for sure. Can't be anyone else. Yeah. Who's a great Raider player in his own right, and been the one consistent since he's been with us since 2019. But like, there's an argument that can be had, but for me personally, and a lot of other people agree with this, Max Crosby is great. Just Khalil Mack was just that little bit much more greater, and had a few more finishing plays than Max Crosby, which is kind of been the criticism from some Raider fans out there. And Raider Joe, all wrong. Co Moore is the best, right? According to some. But anyways, who would be next after that? Like, there's a bit of a drop after those three, right?
Yeah. After that, this is gonna be I'm gonna put this person up here, and that's gonna be Bruce Irving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Bruce Irving, and my honorable mention is gonna be Mr. Kuntz because he might pass Mr. Bruce Irving in a couple
Really?
years.
Kuntz.
Honorable mention. I was looking at his sacks right now. Him and he's only 6 behind. He's only 6 behind Bruce Irvin all time. That's a Raider.
Malcolm Kuntz. Malcolm Kuntz sits behind Bruce Irvin.
He's my honorable mention.
But you just said he sits behind all time in sack
numbers.
I'm saying he's only had what?
Huh? I mean, Malcolm. What do you mean, Malcolm Kuntz has had sacks before?
Yeah, I know, but he only had 8 last season.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I know he had 8, but I'm saying he has a chance to pass Bruce Irving in all-time sacks. You know what I mean? Raider sacks in history. I think he's behind him, but I see the potential for him to do it. And
there's a category for him critique. Anyways, go on, keep going.
Because I wanted to put him over Bruce Irving because because the thing is how I made my list, I just went by like players that I remember by, and then when it comes to sacks and stuff, I mean Bruce Irvin's up there, but I like Malcolm Kuntz. I think he can pass him, and he probably can be the backup sooner or later in my team. But for now, I'm gonna put Bruce Irvin being the backup to fucking Crosby. Even though
Seymour was more interior, and Cam Wimberly, there'll be a category for him critique. There's a name you're kind of forgetting.
I probably am. Go ahead and lay it on me.
He just recently retired as a Raider. Like, he had to come back and retire as a Raider.
Ooh,
I'll give you another hint. We drafted him the same year we drafted one of my least favorite Raiders of all time, Rolando McClain.
Oh my god! Come on, I'm drawing a blank.
His name is the same as a city that has an NFL franchise.
Fucking go ahead and just split it on me, Afakasi.
The Texans. The what Texans?
Oh, Lamar Houston. That's what we're talking about. Oh my god, I forgot about him too and shit. Yeah, you're right. You gonna put Damn, I feel fucking stupid right now. Yeah.
Where would you have? Yeah, put some respect on Lamar Houston's name.
Actually, it would be Houston. Yeah, Houston would probably be my honorable mention behind Irving. Yeah, and get Kuntz out of there.
So,
yeah,
Lamar Houston, and down below would be you putting Kuntz. Like, was there no one in that period between in our Super Bowl or playoff years that you could?
I mean, it was, but everybody wasn't that. It was more of a collective. It wasn't just one player and shit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Another guy I would mention would be Matt Shaughnessy. I thought he was pretty good. I would probably say he was, for me, more productive than Kuntz. I would have him over Kuntz. But hey, this is your list, not mine. And Pat Swilling, I think he was late 90s, Kev. I don't think he played in the early 2000s. And I would later find out, is it him who would become the triple homicide murderer? Pat Swilling? Was it someone else? Someone can educate me in the chat. But yeah, one of the defensive ends from the 90s would go on to be a triple homicide murderer. So
that's crazy. We gotta talk about that.
But anyways, we'll go to interior.
I mean,
something that's been a bit of a bane like in recent history, but go ahead.
I mean, there's only 2 players that are starting right here for me. No doubt about it. And that is Mr. Richard Seymour and Tommy Kelly are going to be my 2 starting defensive tackles. And then my backups behind them are going to be Warren Sapp and Justin Ellis.
Richard Seymour, T. Kelly. No Chester McLaughlin, no Darrell Russell.
But that was an early. I mean, it's kind of hard, dog. It's kind of hard, dog. This is hard. You know, you see, because you just threw some name out. I'm like, now I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Justin
Right.
Ellis shouldn't even better. You shouldn't put Justin McLaughlin up there, no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just get.
So bump
You can
Seymour
just
just out of the way, respectfully.
Yeah, just get Justin Ellis and just put fucking McLaughlin up there, and that'd be the
So
four.
McLaughlin would be your starter.
Yeah, McLaughlin.
What about Russell, Darrell Russell? Where would you consider him?
Damn, dog. Probably. That's a good thing. Probably. God damn. They probably start over. You probably have to start over Kelly too, then, and Richard Seymour
Yeah.
and Kelly will
Okay.
be backups.
So
Damn, see, good thing you're here, dude. I'm listening to my list, dog. I feel dumb as fuck now.
well, mind you, I had to do my research on those guys. Again, they were before my time, but they were pretty good in their own right. Another name, not even Raider Nate's bringing up, besides Warren Sapp, is Ted Washington. Would you have him there?
Yeah, Washington as
Or would
well.
you still have Justin Ellis?
No, I'll probably have Ted Washington up there then. Man, good thing everybody
Where would he
here.
be?
Yeah,
Honorable
he'd
mention?
probably be. Yeah, he'd probably be honorable mention. That's a good one.
And the other guy, would you have Sapp in there? He gets a
Yeah.
bad rap as a Raider, but I thought he was productive enough. So
He was.
we happy with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is of late been a pretty slim pickings position, but we've got a guy in the door who's been pretty fucking good, and the guy before him was good as well. But there's a long stretch there where it was definitely a glaring weakness with our team. And James Firpo, no way Seymour is a backup. Look, Seymour's one of my all-time Raider favorites. I have his jersey, but Chester McLaughlin is considered to be an all-time Raider great. And Darrell Russell, maybe you can. Would you have him starting over Darrell Russell? Or would you have Seymour still as that backup?
This is hard.
And Jordan James says, "Why isn't Warren Sapp starting?" Ask your boy Ont6. Like these are guys before my time. My time was 2009 onwards. So
it's just hard because these are all great. And the thing is, we're only going their time as a Raider. We ain't talking about their time as any other team. We're only talking about their time as a Raider, and they're all great.
Right.
And it's hard.
Jerry Ball. I remember Jerry Ball. Yeah, right. So this is their time as Raiders specifically. You like Warren Sapp would be just about over all those guys as the interior in terms of his career as a whole. Like this is just your time as a Raider post year 2000. Otherwise, Sapp would be your unanimous starter if we were talking about like his career as a whole. So yeah. But anyways, we'll go to middle linebacker.
I mean, there's only two names here that I thought about, and my backup's going to be Napoleon Harris. If you know, you know. He was one of the good linebackers that we had. You know what I mean? Part of the early teams. And it just broke my heart when we traded him away for Randy Moss to the Vikings, man. He was the good linebacker, and it really did fucking suck. And then my starter, the one and number, the original 52, but the boy Kurt Morrison's going to be my starting linebacker.
No Greg Beaker?
My Greg Beaker's, that was going to be my honorable mention. That was
okay. So you'd have him behind Napoleon Harris.
Yeah, I have him right behind Napoleon Harris. Because it's funny. Gotcha. That's literally how it went from Burnett to Harris, and then we went a little spell. That's how I had it.
So after Kirk Morrison, we had a huge drop off with our linebacker core for the longest time. Up until we picked up Navarro Bowman in the offseason, in halfway through the season, who actually turned out to be pretty good. And shout out to Navarro Bowman, he gets an honorable mention. I would also give one to Denzel Perryman, who made a Pro Bowl with us. He was a middle linebacker, and I thought he outplayed what we traded for him. Remember, we traded a 6th-round draft pick, so his time with the Raiders, I thought he was good enough. And then there's shout out to Robert Spillane, who's been more than not excellent as that middle linebacker, and he might make his first Pro Bowl this season. So he would be another one. lot of people giving Jerry Ball shout outs. I saw him playing one season in '95, and he does some things for me in the Tecmo Showdowns with Critique, your boy. But yeah, I like Jerry Ball. He was definitely a big unit back in the day. Pause. But anyways, we'll go to the left linebacker. The running side.
Yeah. We're going right side?
No, left. The left outside linebacker would be the
okay, gotcha.
Covering the running side, like the offense's right sides.
I mean, it's funny because I don't know how people are gonna feel when I have to say this player's name, but my backup's gonna be C.O. Moore right here. You know what I mean? He wasn't the, you know what I mean? I actually like him and shit, and he was one of the great linebackers. Everybody's from calling him a little knucklehead for that play, but he was a good linebacker when he was with us.
I would say though he was more on the right side though than the left, because remember it was Khalil Mack in his rookie season that was on the left.
Oh, you're right. You're right there.
We'll put him down. No, that's cool. I'll put him down here. See more at linebacker, not that defensive tackle like that numpty. We're not even going to name. Says he was, but anyways.
Yeah, and then my starters. No, and then my starter is going to be for the left outside linebacker. It's going to be fucking Bill Romanowski.
Yeah,
my boy Bill Romanowski.
So your starter would be Bill.
Yeah.
Romanowski. And Jordan Irvin, when he was a Raider, played predominantly as a defensive end. He didn't really line up much at the linebacker position. So, yeah, that's why he's listed him as a defensive end. He was the Robin to Khalil Mack's Batman during that 2015-16 campaign. Mm-hmm. And you're saying Ted Hendricks. This is before 2000, not before that. So that's the title of the live is, as you can see up there, post Millennium. So from the year 2000 onwards. But anyways, yeah, Raider Joe. What about Thomas Howard?
I know that I have the other name I have on here is Thomas Howard and Eric Barton. So those are the other two outside linebackers I have on this team.
Okay, so you're starting Romanowski, and then your backup would be Thomas Howard.
Yep.
And then who would be the other guy?
Eric Barton. We took him out of the first round out of Michigan, if you remember. Okay. You know.
I don't remember him, but anyways. Is there any other? What about the right side, the pass rushing side? So CM Moore's there.
Oh, that Eric Barton, that's going to be on the right side. He's the right
okay.
Line. Yeah.
Right. So the pass rushing side. Gotcha.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyone else?
No, any honorable mention. I mean,
you're missing one. Well. You're missing one. Yeah, I was going to say Cam Wimbley.
Yeah, that was my honorable mention.
So someone mentioned him before. Why we got Cam Wimbley? This is why, because he was a guy who did. He was your pass rushing linebacker. So Cam Wimbley would be there. Yeah. Cameron Wimbley. He was quite good in that 2009-10 period of time. He was actually quite stellar. So enough for me to put him there as that starting outside linebacker. An honorable mention that doesn't get in much love, much like Copa Carlisle and much like who was the other guy you forgot about? We were talking about before.
Oh,
well, Lamar Houston.
Lamar Houston. There you go.
Right. Okay. I'll give you another name in the linebacker core that doesn't get enough love. Trevor Scott. Remember Trevor Scott?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right, Trevor Scott.
Yeah,
you're right.
Trevor Scott. Yeah.
That's another name.
The white boy linebacker. Yeah. He was.
White boy linebacker,
in my early days as a Raider fan. He was quite good. So you could have him in there. And there's Raider Joe. You guys remember Trevor Scott? He was an end, I believe. He was more a linebacker who did transition to end as well, but he was listed as a linebacker. So. Yeah, Tyler Brayton. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Yeah, he was drafted in the first round the year we take Nnamdi Asomugha as well.
Ah, okay. So linebacker is. Do you think Trevor Scott would be enough for an honorable mention, or is there any other name like Perryman? Maybe I don't know.
I think Perryman would be honorable mention. And Trevor Scott, we could probably do those two.
Who would you have? Perryman? Or
Yeah,
chat,
probably
Perryman or Scott?
Perriman, just because he probably made the Pro Bowl, if you want to put it like that.
Burris, I liked, but like he was okay / good, not really great. And another player that you might have forgotten, remember Phil Wheeler? I like that guy.
Philip Wheeler. Yeah, we got him from the Colts. Philip Wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
Hang on. I've lost my window here. All right. So who do we agree we're putting?
Denzel Perryman.
D. Perryman. He was more of a middle linebacker for us, but we'll put him there. Yeah, whatever. All right. Cornerback 1.
Woodson.
Yeah, right. Trevor was a cheap Max Crosby before Max Crosby. Right. All right, hang on. I've lost the window again. Just give me a moment.
If I remember too correctly, somebody can look it up. I think he came out of Buffalo as well, Trevor Scott. Somebody can look that up. If I remember, he went from Buffalo. I'm not sure.
So, sorry. See, Woodson, the GOAT. So I was talking about like my greatest Raider player since the turn of the millennium. It's 1A, 1B with Khalil Mack and none other than the GOAT, Charles Woodson, who you could almost list there as safety as well because he did come back in his later years as a safety, but his best days in his early days was making his bones as a cornerback and a part-time receiver as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said Woodson with no hesitation. Yeah, absolutely. And who would be your starter alongside? And shout out to Ont6's mom. Hello. Hope she's having a good day.
Morning. Nah, my number 2, it'd be the one and only Nnamdi Asomugha.
And I'm going to spell this correctly. A-S-O. I think that's right. Nnamdi Asomugha, the lockdown, shutdown cornerback that was the heir apparent to Charles Woodson. And we've been struggling to find an all-time great or a lockdown, shutdown cornerback since those two said guys. But definitely well worthy to be named our starter and our starter number 2. Then there's a huge drop off afterwards.
Yeah,
with our cornerbacks, right?
Yeah, it's fucking comedy because I'm like, fuck. I mean, at this point, I'm gonna say 3 names, and then this is only 3 names I can really think about. I mean, at slot, I'm gonna have Nate Hobbs, and behind the backup to Nate Hobbs is gonna be Philip Buchanan. You know what I mean? Those are only 2 good slot corners I can remember if you want to throw out some honorable mentions, but those are the only ones I could really think about Afakasi at my time as a Raider fan. What
about Eric Allen? Does he get a start? Does he get a backup spot?
No, but I'm just saying he's one of my backups at the outside corner. This is just the slot corner because Eric Allen was the outside corner.
Oh, okay, and I hope I'm spelling that right. So Eric Allen would be your
backup to Woodson or Nnamdi. Yeah, to Woodson or Nnamdi. He'll come up, and then it'll be Fed. And then after that, it'll be probably Fabian Washington, and then Stanford Route. Those are the only ones I can really think about. If you have any other honorable mentions you can think of or throw out there, you want to put out there.
David Emerson. I would have David Emerson at his best. He would. He's got to be slotted somewhere. So Nnamdi, and then who did he have Stanford Route?
Yeah, I said Fabian Washington, Stanford Route.
Would you consider? And this is a question for the chat. Dave Emerson. Who would you have? Dave Emerson. Who was the other names you mentioned? Stanford Route and
Fabian Washington.
Fabian Washington.
Oh, that's a good question.
And there's Casey Hayward. Casey Hayward too. He was good for a year. Yeah, I will give you that.
He was.
He was more of an outside guy. You're saying he was slot. He was an outside guy. Severe. I believe that LaMarcus Joyner was still on our roster when.
He was.
Came in, and yeah. So who would be the next? So Emerson was an outside. Yeah, we're talking outside cornerback. So who would be the next man up after Woodson, Asomugha, and Allen? My personal opinion would be Emerson, but what say you guys?
Actually, I'm gonna have to agree with that because I don't think Fabian Washington or Stanford Route play up to that level he did even with that couple of years he was with us. I'm just saying longevity.
And another name, Torrey James, I believe that's his name.
Oh, actually, yeah.
from the early
Wait,
2000s.
yeah, yeah, fuck. Yeah, fuck.
There's a few names to throw a wrench in the.
Yeah, I'm fucking. See, the thing is, a good thing we do these because now I'm fucking thinking now.
All right, so
I'm gonna let you
Fabian
get the last.
Washington, Torrey James, Dave Emerson, Casey Hayward, and Stanford Route.
I'm gonna say it's between David Emerson or Torrey James. To be honest.
Okay, so David Emerson would be the next
Yeah, David Emerson,
man.
and the honorable
David
mention will
Emerson,
be
uh,
Torrey James.
Torrey James,
Yeah,
and who would be the last man there? Fabian Washington.
yeah. Just probably put Fabian Washington in there.
Okay. And sorry, Stanford, but you've been relegated off the list. Stanford Route was a good number 2 when he played alongside Namdi, but when we let Namdi go in free agency and then we paid Route the bag that we should have given to Namdi, Route was, I just remember him as Stanford throw a fucking flag Route in that 2011 campaign because he was always getting flags thrown him. But that was a season where everyone was getting flags. We were that's still to this day, I believe, the most penalized team in history was that 2011 Raider team, even though they were a fun team to watch. But anyways, Raider Critique says, I would have to disagree. Fabian Washington was a great outside corner, and he was better than Dave Emerson. What say you, chat? Is that the consensus with everyone? I mean, I have fond memories of Dave Emerson, but, that's Critique's opinion. We're going back to the slot. So there's no one else you would put there besides Buchanan and Hobbs? TJ Carey?
Oh, yeah, TJ Carey. You can put him up there as well. He'll probably be the honorable mention on that.
Yeah. Look, it's not a position where we've been strong for the last 20 years. And Carey, he'd be in my recollection, the next best, but he wasn't. He was never stellar, but as a guy we picked up in the 7th round and comparing him to other guys we tried in the nickel situation who struggled, I'd have TJ Carey there. And a guy who gets a bad rap because he didn't turn out as a outside corner, but the one season where we had him as nickel, DJ Hayden, when he was a nickel corner in 2015, he was actually it was 2015, 2016. He actually was fairly decent. But anyways, who's the cornerback that left us and went to the Browns? Was that that was TJ Carey. TJ Carey. Yeah. Are you good on Ont6? Do you need to?
No, you get it up, cousin. I'm just over here thinking. I'm tripping out on these names now. I'm thinking.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the safety room. We'll start with the strong safety.
Oh, man.
Need some names?
I mean, I'm going to start off with my free safety at first. I mean, there's only 3 names that come to mind, and it's hard, and I don't know which way you want to put them. But for me, I'm going to say the 3 names, and I need your help on putting them. I'm going to say Rod Woodson, Stu, and then Michael Huff. I don't know how you want to help me put these names in order, but those are the 3.
So Rod Woodson, Michael Huff,
and then my boy
Stu Schwaggett. Am I spelling his name right? I think so. I should, because he's a friend of mine. Was Tyvon Branch strong or free safety? And salute to Jerry. Tyvon Branch was strong. So he would actually, if we're going to go there, and maybe you might agree with this, Ont6, he would be my guy at strong safety.
No, he will be. That is my starter, and then my backup will be Carl Joseph. And I don't know who you want to put at the honorable mention on this one, because I was like,
right. All right. So Tyvon Branch. So we'll start off with the free safety first. So Rod Woodson, would you consider his time to be better than Michael Huff? Like, Michael Huff was stellar in 2010. I believe he made the Pro Bowl then with 5 interceptions, and to me that was the best safety tandem we'd had since the tournament Millennium, was him and Tyvon Branch, particularly in that 2010 campaign. But yeah, who would you have starting? And shout out to Stu, making it as an honorable mention. Like he's a friend of
thing
ours,
is,
you know, someone we got to know. But Rod Woodson, you remember Rod Woodson because he's before my time. So what can you share about him and Chap?
a lot of the thing is, Brock Woodson, a lot of people say he came towards the 10 out of his career. Well, he did, but the thing is, a lot of people don't remember from that season that we went to the Super Bowl. We were struggling, and he took a pick against Denver, I believe, 98 yards to the house, and he completely changed our season around. And that was one of the key turning points from that season, and he was one of the key pieces to that defense. And I know he was only here for, I think, for 2 seasons, but I can't forget the impact he had and just helping us reach the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? If you just want to go on like longevity, I could definitely see why you see Michael Huff. But yeah, you cannot underestimate the impact Stu had on the teams. You know what I mean? That for the Raider team. So for me, it's hard to put these in order. And I kind of don't want to because it's hard for me because these are some of my favorite players to this day still. So I don't know. That's the thing is like I'm hard.
What
It's
say
really
you,
hard.
Chat? Rod Woodson starter. I would have to insist on Huff being the next man up, and then Stu.
Yeah,
you know,
that's how I have it here. How I've written it down. We'll just do that then.
Ronnie Lott was he a Raider in the early 2000s?
No,
No
he
love
was
for Eric Harris. No, he doesn't. He gets relegated. Like
no.
I mean,
Ronnie
he
Lott was
was
from the early '90s. He was part of the Los Angeles Raiders teams. He wasn't.
Yeah. Remember, Chat. This is after year 2000, not before that. So from the 2000 to the now. Eric Harris. I mean, he had a decent campaign in 2019 or 18, but he wasn't better than those guys. And another guy you could talk about, I guess, Reggie Nelson, who I personally felt was overrated during his time with us. I mean, he was just so slow. Granted, he got some interceptions and that, but I don't know. I would take those guys at free safety before I take Reggie Nelson. But strong safety, like for me, the unanimous star to be Tyvon Branch, one of my favorite players of the defensive side of the ball. I went to the KC in Oakland in 2015. I was sitting on the KC end zone. I said, "What's up, Tyvon?" He nodded and smiled at me. Good dude. Okay, that's right, because he went over to Kansas City after us. But anyways, yeah, people hated Reggie Nelson. I didn't hate him so much, but I just thought he was overrated. But anyways, we'll go back to strong safety. Other names out there that people throwing out, like Carl Joseph, Trayvon Morig. I mean, it's not been a strong position, strong safety. An unsung guy that I like, but you can't really put him there because he just didn't do enough with the Raiders, is Mike Mitchell. He was he was the GOAT to use in Madden, but he would only be good with other teams, so you can't put him there. Is there nobody during those early 2000s that we could consider?
I mean, the only name that I'm gonna have the names that I have written down for my strong safety position are Tyvon Branch, Carl Joseph, and then Derek Gibson. Derek Gibson was our strong safety when we went to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? We drafted him in the first round out of Florida State. So that's only 3 names I had there. So,
right. So, like, look, I liked Carl Joseph, and he was a hitman with what's the word I'm looking for? He was a I'm having a brain fart. He was a disciplined hitman, unlike Jonathan Abram, who was like, it was a heat-seeking missile. He would sometimes take out his own players, whereas Carl Joseph would technically put on big hits, but legal big hits. But like his coverage was never good, great. You know what I mean? Like he was average. You know what I mean? But is there no one better than Carl Joseph? Like, would you consider Trayvon Morig to be better than Carl Joseph?
Well, Trayvon Morig is, I guess, technically.
Morning, Raider Night. Nice to see you.
Technically, you could, but yeah, but Mitchell didn't really do anything for us. That's the thing. Everybody keeps saying Mike Mitchell. But he didn't really do shit for us. And Torrey James
he didn't do anything.
Yeah, so it's hard for. That's only 3 names that I have. So I don't know, Afakasi.
Torrey James, we put him in that cornerback category. Joseph was like Amik. Well, he tackled better than Amik. That's for damn sure. All right, so what are we going to do about safety, man?
We're gonna put just Carl Joseph and Derek Gibson there, and that's it. We're gonna just move on
Okay.
to that.
Joseph. In that order?
Yeah.
D. Gib.
Gibson.
Is it Gibson with a B?
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it, chat. That's our starting defense for the post-millennium. Not really much I would disagree with. The only ones I can see would be I like Malcolm Kuntz, but like just one good season. I don't know. For me personally, like as much as he was a rotational guy, like Matt Shaughnessy was a little bit better in terms of
I could see where you put
production.
Yeah.
So you could make an argument there. Other than that, like I guess I'm pretty happy with it. Like I can't comment on Napoleon Harris. I never watched him play. Eric Barton, I never watched him play. But yeah, I like all those starters. Like those starters, I definitely agree with for the most part. So, anyways, that's our defensive side of the ball. We're not finished yet because we got to go over to special teams. This is going to be an easier list, right?
This is going to be a really easy list. I mean, punter, Shane Lechner. There ain't no other name there we can put there, in my opinion. I mean, there's a couple you could actually put there.
You can't say that you can't. There's no other name. Like
I mean, you technically, you could Afakasi. You really could. Don't get me wrong. Just don't want to respect, but it's incredible what these the place kicker and the place punter coming in the same draft and what they did together for many years as a Raider, and that's Sebastian Janikowski as well.
I'm just gonna see if I'm spelling Shane Lechler right. Not with a U. Is it Lechle?
Oh yeah, I think he spelled it right.
Need to get it right because I got to put some respect on his name. Yeah, it is with an E. All right, so Shane Lechler as our starter, and then he says Zamir White of safeties. Did you say that?
Zamir White of safeties.
Who's the Zamir White of safeties?
I don't know who said that. Eric Harris, the Zamir White of safeties. Who said? I don't know. I don't know.
But anyways, all right. So Shane Lechler would be our starting punter. Behind him for the now, but could catch up with him. Well, this is your list, so I'll let you announce it.
No, go ahead. That's who I had too. That's funny. Go ahead.
AJ Cole. All right, he's got to be there. But if he keeps trending like this, he can one day usurp Shane Lechler. Just Shane Lechler was able to sustainably be the best punter in the league in those 2000 period. And then your honorable mention, Johnny Townsend. You're going to talk about Zamir Whites of punting, Johnny Townsend. You
just
hands up who remembers that guy. And for those who don't know, we drafted him to be the replacement for Marquette King, and it was not good to say the least. 2018. But anyways, who would be your next punter up? And Willie Main, good morning to you. Good to see you.
Marquette King would be my honorable mention. That's who I had as my honorable mention.
Yeah, Marquette King, a guy who was good in his own right, and it's good to see he's another Raider former alumni that's getting involved again with the Raider community, and he shows nothing but love for the fans and that. And a shame that he never got another chance in the league. But he's still doing his thing in the was the XFL, but now the UFL, I believe is what it's called now. But anyways, we're for whoever said long snapper, we're going to get to that shortly, so stay tuned. And with kick returner as well. We're going in order, chat, so just bear with me. All right, so place kicker.
I mean, there's only one. I mean, there's going to have two here, but for my starter, it's going to be Sebastian Janikowski. And my backup is going to be Daniel Carson. And then my honorable mention is going to be Tavecchio. Everybody,
Tavecchio. I like Tavecchio. Not as great as those other guys. I would also argue that maybe I might cop some heat for this, but I would take Daniel Carlson over Janikowski. And I'll explain why. Yes, I would. And I'll just put Giorgio Tavecchio here, being that we've only had 3 kickers since the turn of the millennium. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Giorgio Tavecchio wasn't bad, but he's just like it's a huge drop off from Janikowski and Carlson. There's a reason why we've only had 3 kickers since the turn of the millennium. But yeah, Marquette King. Now, first I want to talk about Marquette King, and then I'll talk about why I would take Carlson over Seabass. So Marquette King, like in Seabass's last season as a Raider, Marquette King was brought in preseason to be a camp leg, right? But he punted that well in the preseason that they stashed him away with a foot injury, and I'm putting it in quotation marks. You know what I mean?
Allegedly.
Dude allegedly, we just wanted to stash him away so no other team would take him until Seabass would, Leckler would ride off into the sunset with another team, and we would have him take over for between, I think, was what 2012 to 2017. So, yeah, but I remember when I first saw Marquette King in preseason, I'm like, we've got an African American punter. I've never seen that before. It was very foreign to me, but yeah, I think he was a good player in his own right. But back to place kicker and why I would take Carlson over Janikowski. And I'm going to read this comment out here. The thing is, Janikowski could kick 50 plus yards from the infield dirt. I don't know if Carlson could do that, just saying. Janikowski could kick long field goals. He had the best leg of the bunch, like unanimously. And he would make these kicks like from ridiculous ranges. However, when it comes to the kicks that mattered, especially in his last few seasons with us, I just remember missing too many of them. Like I'm talking about like game winners and some of these chip shots. You know what I mean? Like Carlson to me has been money man Carlson. So that's my personal opinion. That's why this is no shade on Sebastian Janikowski. He's an all-time Raider great when it comes to the place kicker position. But for me, Daniel Carlson was just that little bit more on the money side of, and the reliability. And salute to you, J-Dog. I appreciate you, brother. Carlson missed too many. Move on. Well, he's only missed like 3 in the last 2 seasons, 3 or 4. Like, anyways,
I mean, you can flip him either way. I mean, you ain't going bad with either kicker, to be honest.
You're not going to be wrong with either answer. I'm just giving you mine, and Ont6 is giving his, being so Seabass and stuff. So we're good. Long snapper. So this is an interesting one. Who would be your long snappers? This is another
John
legacy
Kondo.
position where we haven't had many since the turn of the millennium.
I mean, the only person, the only one I ever want or ever need is John Kondo.
Yeah, that's what's up. And who would be your next man up?
I have no idea because I don't even care because that's the only one I care about. No.
Would it be your boy? What's his name? He was that long snapper from that game in 2012 home opener. The linebacker Travis Gaethel. Who remembers him?
Yeah, that's my honorable
throwing
mention.
The tunnel ball. Oh God,
Yeah.
No way. Oh God, that was one of my least. That there's a memorable game for all the wrong reasons. One of my least favorite Raider memories. That 2012 home opener. Yeah. Anyways, so John Kondo, Trent Sieg doesn't get in. Shout out. Thought he was pretty good.
Who?
Trent Sieg.
Oh, Trent Sieg. Yeah, you're right. You'll probably be my backup then.
Yeah, and then Bobenmeyer being the guys for the now.
Yeah.
What's Jacob Bobenmeyer, isn't it? BobeN. Bobenmeyer. Yeah, whatever.
Something like that. Good enough.
But Kondo is a guy who was an unsung hero. He was the forgotten name in that stellar special teams unit, and he definitely played his part. And he was a long snapper for a long time, wasn't he? Like I think over a decade.
Yeah, he was there for a cool minute now.
He was a long time. But yes, I appreciated John Kondo and Trent Sieg as well, which is why I want to give him a shout out. But here's where things get interesting. Kick returner. There's only really one name, right?
There's only one name. And I want to shout this guy out because ever since it's been gone, we never been able to replace him. I don't think we'll ever be able to replace him. And he set the standard so high that I don't think we ever even somebody comes in and do an okay job, we're still not going to be happy. And that's my boy Jacoby Ford.
For sure. And I do remember that game too. We ended up losing that game. It's to my point, Raider critique. But anyways, back to kick returner. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's only one name there, Jacoby Ford, the benchmark for what you want in the kick return game, and someone who could home run hit at any moment. And he was a good wide receiver too. Like, you could have him in consideration there as well. Like, that performance against the Chiefs in 2010, where he single-handedly took over and, you know, brought us back from the brink, as well as McFadden and Campbell doing his thing. You know, that was one of my most memorable Raider games. But Jacoby Ford definitely well deserving of a space there. But then after him, who would you have?
That's a good question. Who do you have? The only I couldn't think of his name, but it was that guy that had that was it 98 punt return?
Chris Carr?
It was Chris. I had Chris. No, I had him on my. He's my honorable mention, but that he was the African American punt returner that he let it roll to the 2, and then he picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown.
Dwayne Harris.
Yeah.
Just before we move to him, Raider Joe, Lee Higgins was a punt returner. We will get to that shortly. So we're on kick return, punt return. So kick return. So Dwayne Harris would be the next man up.
And then Chris Carr would be the honorable mention.
You know, it's a shame that's not on this list, and because he specifically didn't do anything for us, and I had high hopes for him when we signed him. Remember Cardell Patterson?
Yeah.
Remember the year before we signed him, he was like the best kick returner in the league. Yeah, and then when he came over to us, like, he never did anything because teams just didn't kick to him. He never got a chance to take it out of the end zone because it was always a touchback. So that's my disappointing. Like, I would have loved to put him there, but he never did anything with us when it came to that department. But anyways, we'll move on to punt return.
And that is, I don't know. This was a hard one for me, Afakasi, because I don't know. What do you think?
Johnny Lee Higgins. Johnny Lee Higgins.
Yeah, Johnny Lee Higgins, the only one I can think of. Him, and then the other one I remember that was decent as well was Philip Buchanan, because he did it for a little bit. I think for like a year or two. I think he had 1 or 2 punt returns for touchdowns. But besides that, I don't know anybody else you can think of, in your opinion, Afakasi.
Renfro you could have in consideration, even though he never took one back to the house. He was pretty good at that role. TJ Carey as well. He did all right in spots. Oh God, did I have any other names? I don't think so. No, Dwayne Harris was the punt returner, he was good at the punt returning. He took a punt back to the crib, remember? It wasn't a kick return, it was a punt return.
Well, you can put him the other way. Well, you can take him out of there and put him there, whatever.
We'll put him at the bottom? Okay. And what about Gabriel? D. Gabriel. Do you remember him?
Gabriel? Oh, yeah, you can put him as well. Well, put Harris
honorable mention. And then would you have him over Chris Carr?
No, I haven't met.
So honorable mention?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So D. Gabriel. All right. So that rounds off the special teams unit. And once again, like, my only semi-objection, not really, would be I would just put Carlson over as more of a money man than Janikowski for the reasons I highlighted before. But, you know, it's not a wrong answer having old mate Seabass as that starter. Last but not least, I thought I'd add in head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator.
This is an easy one for me. Josh McDaniels. Because according to my buddy Dustin, Josh McDaniels is the Hall of Fame coach just because his visor is in the Hall of Fame. Okay? So Josh McDaniels is the answer to this.
Josh Cribbs. Sorry, I'll just go to this comment here. Josh Cribbs, he didn't make it past preseason, unfortunately. He was another guy I had high hopes for. But yeah.
I mean,
anyways.
In all seriousness, this is kind of hard.
Seriousness?
As you can tell, I got a master's degree like my buddy Justin.
Snerious, like sincere.
Sincere.
Sincere. Go ahead.
I mean, to be honest with me, there's only one name here, and that's going to be, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to have John Gruden as the head coach.
Right. That early 2000s John Gruden. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then as the offensive coordinator, I know everybody's going to get mad, but I'm going to have Bill Callahan right here. He was the offensive coordinator and the head coach.
Is that the guy who was, when was he offensive coordinator?
He took over when we made the Super Bowl, but he was John Gruden's offensive coordinator the year before he took over. But technically, I mean, I don't know what other offensive coordinator you want to put right there, because you could put the one we had in the Jock Del Rio, but
Bill Musgrave, and then and also another shout out for his creativity, Hugh Jackson in 2010. But those would be my other guys. But yeah, you know, go ahead.
And then my defensive coordinator was going to be Rob Ryan. You know what I mean? I love Rob Ryan. I wish he would have had a chance to be a head coach during the early 2000s when we had where we sucked. But Rob Ryan's going to be my defensive coordinator.
Yeah, over Chuck Bresnahan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because he from the stats, Rob Ryan's winning percentage was one of the lowest. But I guess there was no fault of the defense when they were doing their job in that mid 2000s period, wasn't it?
Yeah. So just think about they actually had, you know, I think that's why he don't get enough respect. But the job he did with those defenses was just incredible. So that's mine. But I want to hear your opinion. Who would you be your three right here, Afakasi?
No, I would go with that. Musgrave maybe. I need to go back to school with my spelling of offensive coordinator. Gee, that's Aussie bad right there. Huh.
It's all right, brother.
Off sniff if offensive coordinator. There we go. All right. So, oh god, I'm fucking up here. All right, there we go. All right, so now I can go with those answers. Like I said, with the offensive coordinator, like Matt Musgrave in 2016, I liked what he did there. I liked Hugh Jackson's creativity in 2010 and 11. Seriousness. Amir. And defense, Rob Ryan was before my time. But you know, if that's your answer, like we can go with that. Chuck Bresnahan that was the defensive coordinator during those early 2000s when we went to Super Bowls. We had a pretty stellar defense then. During my time as a Raider fan, like, you know, I liked the 2010, 2011 defense, but after that was pretty slim picking. So, yeah, I'm going to go with your answers.
Okay.
All right. So there you have it, chat. I'll just gloss over it real quickly one last time. So that's the offense there. You can see all the names. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any objectivity to those, or if you have a comment on who would you have in what position rather than what's on the screen, feel free to comment. There's the defense. I'm going to amend this here because I've put, hang on, give me a moment. Having to change screens and shiz. Go here, put a space between these two. There we go. So same applies for what I said. Like if there's any names there that you don't agree with or you think we've missed. But yeah, that's the list there for the defensive side. Special teams, I mean, that was pretty easy, especially on the punting, place kicking, and long snapper side of things. Kicker and punter, like we had to kind of grasp at straws for the guys after the starters, but you know, those starters there were pretty stellar, especially kick returner. And then last but not least, there's your coaches. So Gruden, Callahan, and Ryan. And Reddit Critique says Callahan was 2002. So he was, what was he, 2002, and then he came back later, didn't he?
I believe so. I'm not sure, Afakasi.
I don't want to get my Raider history wrong. Yeah, so he was around from 98 to 2001. And then did he come back later? I'm not too sure. Whatever. But anyways, there you have it. So I thought it'd be a bit of fun just to kill some time for the bye week. He never came back. Okay, so that's my bad. I think it was someone else that may have come back. All right, well, I'm going to go back to the full screen and just have me and you. So any final takes or, anything you want to sign off with before we get up out of here?
Well, nothing. I can say Raider Nation is enjoy this week off. You know what I mean? Enjoy with your family. You're not stressed out with the game or anything. And we'll see what happens with the rest of the season. So thanks for everyone pulling up. Shout out to Raider Joe. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Until the next one.
For sure. Appreciate you doing this with me, and thought it'd be a bit of fun as well as with the chat. I hope you guys had fun, and leave your comments down below for what you think and if there's any objections or anybody you would have in there rather than the guys who put in there. But anyways, I'm Afakasi Raider. Down below, your boy Ont6 Soldier. Raider Nation for life. Win, lose, or tie. You know what time it is. It's Raider Nation till we what, gang?
Till we fucking die.
We motherfucking die. All right. Peace, chat. We'll catch you on the flip side for sure. All right. Take care.